The transfer portal is a busy time for Florida State, and this time in this episode, we're going to talk about a handful of departures, definitely some that are some big-time names for Florida State, some that were bright spots from this last season. We're going to talk Lawayne McCoy. He announced his intentions in the transfer portal. Earl Little Jr. previously said that he was going into the NFL draft. He's taken his name out and actually deciding to enter the transfer portal. Florida State losing a specialist as well, an offensive lineman there too. We're also going to talk to Desir twins and what we think is going to happen there because, man, oh man, Florida State is doing their best to try to retain them, but it seems like it's inching closer and closer to where the Seminoles might not have these two going into 2026. We're also talking about Florida State landing a handful of players through the transfer portal. Some of those guys being potential starters for you this next season, along with keeping up with some players that Florida State has offered. They've also offered a transfer quarterback, along with some of these other players that Florida State used to have now found new homes, including Cam Davis, Luke Kromenhoek, Edwin Joseph. There's a lot going on here, along with Florida State planning to host a big-time linebacker, one that would be a huge addition for them defensively from Pittsburgh. That's happening today. So we've got a lot to discuss on today's episode. With me this morning is Dustin Lewis, our editor-in-chief at NoleGameday.com, and all the way on the other side is Austin Veazey, our editor-in-chief, as I see his name right down there below, as we were supposed to go live at 9 a.m., but the melatonin I took last night absolutely just blacked me out. And I woke up at 9:10 to Dustin's phone call. So here we are, 10 minutes later.
It's not really a good excuse.
I could have slept for those 15 more minutes.
Dude, you guys chide me over these morning episodes, then you're the one who doesn't wake up.
Don't worry. I'll be back up tomorrow morning at 7. Just a very rare occurrence there, but I'm with it. We got some sweet tea in the cup, ready to roll. Got some,
which caffeine. Is foul. Who sweet? Does anybody else drink sweet tea at 9 in the morning?
Please tell me that someone does. I'm surprised you don't, Dustin.
Like, every now and
drink
then,
for caffeine.
If I get up early enough, but if I got up at like 8, so it just still seems too early to drink some sweet tea right now. Yeah. Now, if I had to go out to Doak or something, then I'd probably grab one.
Yeah. You're getting like a large sweet tea from Whataburger as you're pulling into the moor.
And a sausage biscuit.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe a snack with it as well. But thank you, Grant. See, thank you. Love sweet tea at 9 in the morning. There's nothing better than a good swig of sweet tea. Get a little bit of caffeine, a little bit of sugar. I like a little half and half sweet tea anyways. But we need it this morning. A lot going on here, guys. Who knows? At any point, something could happen because, like we said, Florida State doing a lot to try to retain some of these players that have entered or are planning to enter the transfer portal. Let's start off with number 1, Lawayne McCoy. And we talked about this earlier this week on Tuesday morning's episode about Lawayne McCoy. I was kind of concerned with the addition of Ashton Daniels, not saying that was a primary factor in this for him deciding to enter the portal, but I don't think it was one that really helped you as much either, just going off of the quarterback play. And that's always going to be the case with Gus Malzahn, but McCoy has announced his intentions in their portal, but we know that this Florida State staff is doing what they can to try to retain the wide receiver that they feel highly on.
I think it was certainly a factor, and maybe this is you speaking it into existence, like I might have did with Mac a couple of days ago.
Now you're admitting it.
Maybe, but I mean, it clearly worked for you. Like 12 hours later, Lawayne McCoy entered the portal, but. I think the quarterback search certainly played a role here. There were some reports that when these quarterback transfers were on campus, you had Deuce Robinson and Lawayne McCoy up there at the facility. I mean, likely being used as a selling point to these guys and having a conversation to them about Florida State. But we saw it last year. It was hard even for 3 wide receivers to be productive in Gus Malzahn's offense, especially with Tommy Castellano's back there and the passing getting more inconsistent as the season went on. You look at Lawayne McCoy. I mean, he had his best career game in that regular season finale loss to Florida, over 100 yards receiving, a touchdown. And it's interesting, because we've seen it now the last couple of days. Some of these guys who spoke extremely high about Mike Norvell and this coaching staff throughout the 2025 season, they're now heading out the door when they had a chance to return to Florida State. Lawayne McCoy talked highly of Mike Norvell in that presser after the loss to Florida. We're going to get to Earl Little Jr., but, he was asked multiple times after press conferences about his faith in the coaching staff and, stood by his coaches and Florida State. So now some of these guys are heading out the door. What's that say?
Well, they have the same agent, or Lawayne has the same agent as the Desir twins, or at least the same agency. So
what is it?
I was just about to say, we were joking before we went live that it's loyalty above all, and apparently it's loyalty to the dollar more than anything. So, I'm not gonna fault them for getting their own money, but I also have to think that maybe Lawayne's not too thrilled with Ashton Daniels, as we were talking about a little, as we were mentioning. But you would like to have him back. He's certainly super talented. He was probably the most open receiver. There was just definitely, especially early in the year, there was some inconsistencies from Tommy where he just couldn't connect with Lawayne, and they seemed to get it figured out as the season went along. And yeah, Lawayne was banged up here and there, had some boneheaded decisions, especially at Clemson. But he's too talented to let a guy walk out.
Yeah, no, he'd be a great piece to have opposite of Deuce Robinson, because you know what you're going to get with Robinson. Man, you still have Mekhi Danzy, and man, oh man, it at this point it feels like anything can go, because you just felt like Florida State did a good job of securing the Desir twins. And you know what? They probably did. They were probably ahead of it, and they tried to and such, and they did as much as they could. But, the Desir twins, the agents get involved like this. Now, don't you love the current state of college football right now, everybody? Isn't that just awesome? Isn't this just great? But it's Florida State's in an even tougher position, because guess what? You went 2-10 2 years ago, and then this last season you went 5-7 and was just an absolutely lost to Stanford. I mean, that's my number one thing that just went bad last year. You lost to Stanford,
and now you've got a Stanford former quarterback as your starter for next year. So
there you go. Maybe that
Stanford's in the DJ Lagway sweepstakes.
Okay.
They might get him out there for a visit. We'll see if he leaves Baylor or not.
Okay. Yeah. And you brought DJ Lagway in too. Just he was wanting to see where his money's at there and what Florida State would have on the offer sheet for him. But they decided to go Ashton Daniels, a little bit of a cheaper price for you there, of course, better fit for Gus Malzahn's offense. DJ Lagway, just that never really, to us, never made sense whatsoever. Just felt like another DJU type experience for you. But yeah, Lawayne McCoy, that's one that we're going to monitor moving forward. But I just, like you said, VZ, there was times where we saw Lawayne McCoy wide the F open, and you're like, well, Tommy, hey man, he's right there. He's right there. But he's eyeing Deuce, and that's the thing. This ball isn't going to go to everybody across this offense on air. And now I guess I don't want to say it, because I guess it comes to fruition, but you got to keep an eye on Mekhi Danzy, because he's a guy with some elite speed. That elite speed, college coaches want that in their offense. So we'll see what happens with Lawayne McCoy. Another one though, Earl Little Jr. This one came to a surprise to us, because man, what a roller coaster ride for him this offseason. So first off, there was some high hopes that he would be returning for this next season. Didn't really feel like he'd be headed to the NFL draft. He says, guess what? I'm going to the NFL draft. So he puts his name in there, makes a whole announcement and everything. We covered that. But then recently there was some smoke and some chatter. And if you look at Tony White's Twitter page, there were some emojis going out brick by brick. He was starting to put out emojis for players that he was retaining and bringing back, like Jabril Rawls, like Ashton Barker. And then there was Earl Little Jr. there. And then it kind of went silent there for a few days. And we're like, okay, well, they're getting prepared for Earl Little Jr. to make a video, and he's going to come back for next year. And no, he takes his name out of the NFL draft, and he decides to enter the transfer portal. How do you put all this together here, gentlemen?
It's not good for Florida State. I mean, to say the least. The tea leaves read that the Seminoles were expecting to get him back, and Tony White posted that third brick, and you're still waiting on it at the moment. We'll see here, if Florida State can retain Earl Little Jr., but like with the Desir twin situation, this seems to be one where he's hoping to get paid. And Earl Little Jr., obviously going into his final season at the college level, did have some legitimate NFL interest, earning a Shrine Bowl invitation there, and it seemed like he was going to pursue his future at the professional level. And I mean, in my opinion, this is one that Florida State needs to retain. He was a big leader for you, obviously had a breakout season in 2025 in Tony White's defense. And, it wouldn't be good to lose another player like Earl Little Jr. and your defensive backfield's already getting pretty thin. And it would really bump up that need at safety, which you probably already need a guy at least for depth. But if you lose Earl Little Jr. and you don't have him returning, then you're going to need a starter level type. And, the safety market's getting pretty thin out there. A lot of guys that went off the board probably in like the last 48 hours or so.
Yeah, it'd be real awkward to lose this one after you tweet a plus brick and we haven't gotten that plus brick yet. Earl Little's a flawed player, but he's a good player. I don't think they should be paying hand over fist to bring him back. He is a good player. He does fit Tony White's defense in that rover role really, really well, but they do not need to be paying him $1 million to come back if that's what it ends up being. I think they need to take a safety anyways, just as you were mentioning, Dustin, and just to add some depth. And if you need to add a starter level depth, then you need to do it soon. Because, there weren't a lot of talented safeties that entered the market this year, and those good ones are already flying off.
I think for Earl Little Jr., he brings an attitude to your defense, which you need and you lacked the last couple of years. But he's one that you have that physicality nature for you. And what's crazy, Tony White, he really wanted Earl Little Jr. to stay and not go to the portal, go elsewhere. He felt that fit that rover position the best. And that's something that's really important to what Tony White likes to do with his defensive scheme. Now, there were a lot of missed tackles last year. There's some things that he certainly needs to improve on all across the board there, but he's one that had some takeaways for you. Like I said, physicality, and he could improve, and you would like for that to happen in Tallahassee because that was the one part of this offseason that you felt like if you're able to retain these guys like Jabril Rawls, Ashton Barger, which they've been able to do, and those Desir twins, you felt optimistic going into year 2 with Tony White and his defense, keeping the pieces that he feels like still fits his scheme, but then also going out into the transfer portal and on the and the prep ranks and grabbing what does well for him on that side of the ball. So we'll see what happens with Earl Little. Also, too, Bruno Reyes, a specialist who was potentially going to be your starting punter after Mac Chiamento decided to enter the portal and then go to Texas due to Dustin Lewis, helped Mac Chiamento get a bag, really.
I laugh at you saying his name.
That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's his name. But Bruno Reyes, man, the specialist.
That's not how you say it.
Who?
Mac Chiamento.
Chiamento? Okay, that's the same thing. But Chiamento. Anyways, Bruno Reyes, man, could be without. Who's going to be punting this year? Who's going to be punting, D-Lou? Because this was quite a surprise, too, as well. I mean, you have Jake Weinberg as your kicker as of right now, but Bruno is out of here. Going to look for a new punter for Florida State.
Yeah, this one's a little bit surprising because, Bruno was one of the highest-rated kickers and punters in that 2025 class, and you brought him in alongside Ethan Post there, and I figured they would probably have at it this offseason, battle for that starting job, but it seems like Florida State looking into experience in the transfer portal, and last couple of days they had New Mexico's Daniel Hughes on campus, and Hughes was one of the semifinalists for the Ray Guy Award last year and averaged about, I think, 44 yards per punt or so, 3.95 seconds of hang time. So it seems like they're trying to bring in someone who's already done it at the college level rather than banking on a guy that doesn't have any experience.
Which is weird. Like, Ray has had to know that he would have been sitting for at least 2 years when he first committed. Like, you had a freshman kicker in Jake Weinberg. Chiamento had years of experience left. We probably didn't expect for him to enter the portal, but the plan had to be for Reyes to sit 2 years. So I don't know why he's freaking out now, but whatever. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
No. You're not gonna like stay up really late staring at the ceiling about Bruno Reyes.
As soon as this podcast is over, I'm probably going to forget about him.
That might be the last time you ever speak about him or even remember him.
Yeah.
Let's make a reminder in 2 years and see how easy he remembers Bruno Reyes. What about Jalen Matthews, VZ? You remember Jalen Matthews?
Only for his ability to predict babies. That is it.
Ooh, that is true. That is one of his strongest.
I can't believe he's already going to be on his third school in the span of a calendar year.
Wow.
Because he started at Rutgers, right? And then transferred in the spring portal window as a true freshman without even seeing a real practice.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
He was a member of Florida State transfer class, but he was really a member of the high school class.
Yeah. And now after 6 months, and after saying his time is coming, he said that 2 weeks ago. His time is coming in the transfer portal.
Yeah. Norvell's losing his guys because I think he tweeted, somehow with him and Mike Norvell and having his back and such. That's his coach. Not his coach no longer, it doesn't seem like. But yeah, that's an offensive lineman. Don't need to go deeper into that one. We got a lot more to talk about here. Do we want to talk? I think right now there's a lot of people in the chat, so let's give them what they want real quick. So we'll skip down to Rasheem Biles, a Pittsburgh linebacker that's visiting Florida State today. Maybe. Could happen, could not. Who knows? There was some travel.
Think it's 100%.
Uh-oh. Well, expected. Can we say expected for the headline here? All right, we'll say expected. But the number one linebacker in the transfer portal per On Three, two-time All-ACC honoree, second team in 2025. In 2025, he actually totaled 101 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and 3 defensive touchdowns across 10 games. He's 6'1", 215 pounds, and has 1 year of eligibility left. And, of course, would be an immediate starter for Florida State on that defensive side of the ball. Florida State having to compete, of course, across the country with him. Florida State needs linebackers, and they need starting linebackers to be more specific. You would think now with Florida State putting some resources away from the quarterback position, going cheaper there, they're trying to line up their positions of need. And that, like we said earlier in this week, that's trenches, pass rush, offensive line, and you're also talking about the linebacker position here, guys.
There's a huge need at linebacker. I mean, it was a really disappointing position for Florida State last year, and as of now, I mean, you're losing 4 guys who started multiple games for FSU. Obviously, with Omar Graham Jr. and Justin Cryer intending to enter the transfer portal, I don't think Omar Graham Jr.'s name has still officially appeared in the database yet, so there's still a possibility that he returns. Seems like Justin Cryer is already taking visits elsewhere. He's probably moving on. And then obviously Elijah Herring and Stephon Thompson both exhausted their eligibility following the 2025 season. So you don't have much there at the moment. Blake Nicholson is coming back. It's crazy to say that he's already going to be a senior in 2026. So right now, I mean, he's still set to return to FSU. You've got Caleb Lavallee, who is a redshirt junior, transferred to FSU from UNC last year and missed basically the whole season with an injury. I don't think we ever really got a chance to see him out there. And then, you've got some young talent behind that. Isaiah Williams coming off that ACL tear, who signed with Florida State in the 2026 class. If he's able to return to form, he could get into that rotation, maybe even have a chance to start. I mean, he was extremely talented before he went down with that injury. But regardless, I mean, you're not very deep there. So a guy like Rasheem Biles, who is proven, who has made the All-ACC team in consecutive years, if they're able to get him on campus and secure this transfer commitment, which, I mean, he's one of the most coveted linebackers who are still available in the portal right now, receiving interest, like you said, Logan, from multiple schools across the country. And I think he's from up there in Ohio. So if Ohio State has interest in this one, that might be one to watch out for.
Apparently they did, and he canceled the visit.
Okay, well.
Ooh. Wasn't that in Miami too involved, and that was canceled as well?
I don't know if he's actually canceled Miami yet, but there's a lot of smoke about that too.
Interesting. Florida State's got the bag for him, don't you think? Then
got a bag for a linebacker, not a quarterback's crazy.
Well, Gus Malzahn, there you go. You can thank your offensive coordinator for that. But I mean, this would be big. I mean, this would be huge here.
This would be huge. Like Pitt's linebacker core was awesome last year, and Biles was arguably the best of their linebacker unit. Again, it was a really good unit. If Florida State could find a way to land this one, that would make this defense look a lot better, because I don't feel great about Blake Nicholson and Caleb Lavallee being your starters next year. You got to get a couple of proven guys in there. And, we talked about some names. over the weekend that they may be interested in, they all commit elsewhere. So now you've got to look elsewhere. And if this is your backup option, it's a pretty good backup option.
Yeah, this dude, in my opinion, I mean, he's a game changer. You can see it with the multiple defensive touchdowns that he had in 2025. He had at least one in 2024. Tied the Pittsburgh single season record with 3 blocked punts as a true freshman. So he gets after it on on defense and on special teams. And
he does affect the offense, though.
He's proven himself now for 3 years at the ACC level, and like I said, 2 really good seasons in 2024 and 2025, and 101 tackles this season in just 10 games is pretty insane. So Rasheem Biles, if Florida State can get him on campus, I mean, they need to lock this one down because he instantly boosts your defense in the right direction.
And he has a pass rushing threat. Like, he had 18 pressures as a true linebacker, only missed 10 tackles. Like, when you're tackling that much and you only miss 10, that's pretty impressive, if you ask me.
That's attractive to me. You know what? It kind of reminds me of Sebastian Dennis, who's down here in Tampa with us, who played for Pittsburgh as well. Arduzzi always continues to be able to produce linebackers, and that defense are well disciplined as well. But they know talent up there on the defensive side, specifically at that linebacker position, like you guys are talking about there. This would be a major addition. It's hard to have your hopes up so high, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm not hopeful because this staff gives me no reason to hope, but it would be nice to have them.
Yeah. You can have your dream board built out. Man, if we had a dream board built out, this would be a national championship caliber team on a yearly basis. But
sadly, the coaching staff is still the coaching staff. So even with the talent,
yeah. Well, too, you got to know Ernie Sims, as your linebackers coach. Has that been official yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. But let's just say it is Ernie Sims, as expectations are, and then Tony White there is going to be expected to be very hands-on because he was a linebackers coach. So we'll see if that's attractive for Biles here. But I mean, you're going to be an immediate starter, man, and that's all I could give you. I mean, this is a guy that is a absolute stud on that second level for you, and you need it as it's been atrocious for you the last couple of years.
Last couple. I'd say outside of 2 years, it's been pretty atrocious for the last decade.
Couple to you guys? A couple to me is like 2 to 3 years.
No, I agree, but I'm saying outside of a year and a half.
And Kalen.
Yeah, it's been atrocious for a decade.
Dude, I feel bad for Tatum Bethune, man. He just had a season-ending injury, I believe.
This groin injury, I think.
A groin?
Yeah.
Yeah, moved to IR and was stepping up for Fred Warner, who also had a season-ending injury that happened down here in Tampa. And then Tatum Bethune steps in. He ends up being a solid addition for the 49ers as a team that always produces really good linebackers. That's also what happens in San Francisco. But, man, that sucks for Tatum Bethune. He was having a stellar season. All right, let's go back up here real quick. Now, there's a lot of portal additions, guys, a lot of news here for Florida State that we have not covered since Tuesday. So let's get going here. Let's start off with some big boys. We'll go to offensive linemen. Let's start off with Braden Joyner, a Purdue offensive lineman. He is headed to Florida State after a visit. He started all 12 games at center for Purdue last season, allowing just 1 sack over 791 snaps and earning a 62.7 overall PFF grade. He actually began his career at Auburn in the SEC, started games at left guard in 2024, and was named the SEC All-Freshman Team. He's 6'2", 310 pounds, and has 2 years of eligibility left, and can play either side, center or guard there, and could be a potential center competition there. What are your guys' thoughts on this pickup?
Yeah, I like it for Florida State. You get a versatile offensive lineman who, like you said, Logan, I mean, he's got center, he's got guard experience. You've also landed, we'll get to Paul Bowling since then, but another guy with center experience. So I think you're really filling out that competition at your center spot with those 2 guys and Sandman Thompson, and you can let them battle it out, and whoever doesn't win there can shift to the guard spot. And honestly, Joyner might be a better fit at guard anyway. He graded out higher there in 2024 when he was playing at Auburn. So getting a guy with 2 years of eligibility remaining, got experience in the SEC, got experience in the Big Ten, I think that can only help Florida State, especially when you're considering you have to replace all 5 of your starters from 2025.
Yeah, we talked about him a little bit on Tuesday when the news was first announced. I don't think he was quite as athletic last year as he was at Auburn, so I don't know if he was dealing with a minor injury last year. But again, as Dustin was talking about, once we get to Paul Bowling, you now have 4 guys that have center experience on the roster when you include Andre Otto and Sandman Thompson. So you can figure out what that rotation looks like, and whoever doesn't, you've got 4 quality guys for 3 spots. That's at least a good problem to have. Now they still need to figure out what the hell they're doing at left tackle, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I think interior they should be all good.
Mm-hmm. Let's jump over to another offensive line, like you were just saying there, Dustin. Bowling Green State offensive tackle Nate Pabst. He is a guy that had a lot of experience, 42 games. He had 38 straight starts over the last 3 seasons and played about every offensive line position. In 2025, he was the team captain, started in all 12 games, primarily at right tackle, allowing 14 pressures and 1 sack across 766 snaps. Starting to see a little bit of a theme here between these last 2 we're talking about. But 6'3", 315 pounds, and has 1 year of eligibility left, and can absolutely help you there at the tackle position, or if you need him there on the inside. So you have some opportunities there.
Yeah, when they landed him, I thought, maybe Paps would end up more on the interior, but now with the additions of Paul Bowling and Joyner, it seems like he's probably primed to shift out to that right tackle position, which, I mean, he does have a ton of experience at. I think he's got a little bit more playing time in his career at those guard spots, but either way, I mean, you should be able to flip him out there to tackle and still be an average starter at worst, I would assume. Only 1 sack this season, but he has given up 9 sacks during his college career. And you also have to think he's going to be moving up to a higher level of competition from week to week. So it's going to be something to watch. So far, I don't feel as confident about this offensive line transfer class as the one that Florida State brought in last year. Obviously Micah Pettis and Gunnar Hansen had multiple years of experience there in the SEC. Adrian Medley had played along Herb Hand and Gus Malzahn for multiple years, and Luke Pettibon had a bunch of experience there in the ACC, and then Richie Leonard as well. Started his career in the SEC. So I don't know if they're getting that level of talent up front, but at the same time, you got to kind of trust the process with Herb Hand, because he completely flipped this unit a year ago. So I don't see why he couldn't do it again.
Yeah, the good news with Paps is he's at least started at basically every position. Started at right tackle and right guard this year. Started at left tackle and left guard last year. Did struggle against the bigger competitions like Louisville, like Texas A&M. It's going to be a little bit natural when you're playing at a school like Bowling Green. So we'll see what that jump looks like from this year, because it's a brutal schedule for Florida State this year. They gotta be ready for war this year. And whether he's a starting tackle, whether he's a swing tackle that can come off the bench, it looks like he's going to be a starter. But you would like to add some better players at least. I don't think it's going to happen though.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll see too. Going through the college football playoffs too. There's 4 teams still left. There's a game tonight. What we got? Miami playing this evening. There's a lot of teams still that could have some guys hopping into the transfer portal as well.
I didn't know it was tonight until you just said it.
I know. As FSU
crazy
fans,
week.
It has been an insane week down here in Tampa, as well as 4 shows yesterday of having to talk about Todd Bowles staying for another season. So I'm just used to it at this point. Just used to teams and programs retaining their coaches and it not being a good product on the football team. It's so much fun. But yeah, I mean, we got Ole Miss, Miami tonight at 7:30, and then of course Oregon, Indiana, which should be a really good game. That's on Friday night.
Well, at least for the Bucs, they just fired their offensive coordinator.
Did they now? Grizzard gone out of there in Tampa?
Just announced.
Wow. Yep. Expected to happen. Needed to, but at least they make some moves. But yeah, maybe Indiana has some offensive linemen that Cignetti can let go.
Well, we tried that last year, and they decided to go back to Indiana. So not hopeful on that.
Oh, yeah. Oops. Well, we'll see what happens. Let's keep moving here, though. Another Riles, though, but this time this Riles commits to Florida State. This is a tight end.
We're not talking about Paul Bowling?
I mean, we mentioned
well, in a second. I just it's on
or
my
we could
list.
just stick on the offensive line.
Yeah, we're skipping from the offensive lineman to the tight end and back.
You like Paul Bowling. Give us what you got here with Paul Bowling. What do you like about Paul Bowling so much? Is it because he's 6'4", or that he has a pass blocking grade of 67.1 and a run blocking grade of 64.5? What here gets you going with a little bit of Paul Bowling?
Can't tell if you're throwing shade at him.
I'm not. But this is a Troy offensive lineman that committed to Florida State. Paul Bowling, D-Lou. What do we got here with this young man? Is he young?
True freshman.
Okay, yeah, he's young. There we go.
So 6'4", 315 pounds, out of Georgia, signed with Troy in this recent recruiting class in 2025, and then became the first true freshman in program history to start the season at center. Ended up starting in 12 games for the Trojans, 9 at center, 3 at left guard. So some versatility there, like we've talked about with some of these other transfers. And, you know, he didn't have the highest grades as a true freshman, but played against some good competition. You know, 62 snaps against Clemson, did not allow a single pressure or sack in that game. Then faced James Madison later on in the year, who made the college football playoff, obviously gave up 2 sacks in 70 snaps against the Dukes. I mean, those are probably the 2 teams that he faced last year that'll mirror what he'll play week to week in the ACC. So it'll be interesting to watch, like with Paps, as he transitions to playing higher level competition each week rather than once or twice a season.
And it's interesting that even though he let up 2 sacks against James Madison, that was his highest graded game, like across the board with PFF. So who knows what they're doing over there. We'll just have to see what this jump looks like for him. I could even imagine a world where he redshirts this year as he gets used to this level of competition. But as we were mentioning a little bit ago, you now have 4 guys with experience that you can put on the inside and just figure out what that rotation looks like. You'd rather have 4 guys that you feel okay about than 2. So not the worst.
Let's go over. Let's just stay on the offensive side of the ball. Why don't we? Let's go over to this East Carolina tight end, Desir Riles. Another Riles we're talking about here this morning. But let's see. Best season was in 2025. He started 10 games, totaling 28 catches for 362 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's from Florida. He appeared in 37 career games with 15 starts, bringing a lot of experience to this Florida State tight end room. He just brought back Landon Thomas, was strong. Randy Pittman's off visiting a handful of other schools, so it looks like you won't be bringing him back for next year. But Florida State trying to reload this tight end room, which felt pretty strong for you. If you were to have a Randy Pittman and Landon Thomas both back for this next season, you felt pretty strongly about that room, but they had to do some work here, and here they are with Desir Riles.
I'm not really that moved by this addition. You know, Riles had the most productive season of his college career in 2025 and caught 28 passes for 362 yards and 2 touchdowns this season. 87 of those yards were in a single game. And, you know, one of the problems with the tight ends behind Randy Pittman Jr. and behind Marquise and Douglas last year is they just simply weren't adequate blockers. And at least according to PFF, you know, you got to take those grades as you will, but Riles graded out poorly as a run blocker with a 47.9 grade and a pass blocker just 59.9. Also had a drop rate of 12.5%. So this feels like a depth addition to me. And, you know, you're really banking on Landon Thomas. Obviously he's coming back, that he finally takes that step forward in his development, starts to realize some of that potential that he had coming out of high school.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not the biggest fan of this. If he's anything better than tight end 2, it's an issue. And even then, I don't even know if I want him as tight end 2. He does have a little bit of athleticism. I believe he started his career as a linebacker. But I'm not too thrilled with this one, I guess.
But you have the spots to fill. I mean,
you did have the spots to fill. Yeah.
It's a lot of room still on this roster for FSU to get up to 105. And that's if some more players who are currently on the roster, you know, don't decide to hit the portal.
That's relying a ton on like Landon Thomas to get things together. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I just don't know. I don't have high expectations on that. You guys.
I don't know. You know, I don't feel great about it. Maybe the light finally turns on, but I feel like we haven't seen enough flashes. these past few years. And you still have Chase Lofton there. We'll see what they decide to do with Tayshawn Gelsey, kind of a bigger body who they had at wide receiver in year one, but I think his future is probably at tight end. And you've got Xavier Tiller, Corbin Fordham coming in as true freshmen in this 2026 class. Tiller was a blue chip recruit, and it seems like Florida State, they might take another tight end in this transfer class. Recently had Chase Lofton's brother, Braden Lofton, on campus, and he's a Kansas State transfer. I think there are some other schools that are interested there, but with the family connection here at Florida State, you would think if the Seminoles want him, they'd be able to get that locked down.
Yeah, I think you would want to bring in another a portal addition, one with, of course, experience, one that could be a combo piece with Landon Thomas, just because you have to rely now on a younger player with Chase Lofton, who got moved over to wide receiver this last year and had a season-ending injury. And like I said, I just don't have a lot of security in my mind of Landon Thomas at the moment. So he's going to have to take big strides for me to feel strongly about that room moving forward. Now, there was a pass rusher that Florida State was able to land, former SEC defensive end from Texas A&M, Rylan Kennedy. He played in all 13 games in 2025 as a rotational defender and special teams contributor. He had recording 14 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. He was a former 3-star prospect in 36 games at Texas A&M, totaling 40 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and his lone start coming again in 2024 in the Las Vegas Bowl. He's 6'3", 239 pounds, and will have 1 year of eligibility remaining. And this is just a depth piece until you don't have the Desir twins, and he's a potential starter for you. It's another Jason Jenkins situation.
You look at that DN room right now, and I mean, he might be a starter on paper for Florida State, which just shows how sad the situation has gotten.
How scary. It's very scary, ladies and gentlemen. It's scary.
But I mean, I think Kennedy, he's got decent size, pretty good athlete, good burst, good first step. So there are some traits there, and interested to see if maybe Nick Williams can help him unlock some of those once Kennedy does arrive here in Tallahassee. But I will say, the lack of production over his college career, I mean, is certainly cause for concern. You kind of read it off there, Logan, but just 40 tackles, 5.5 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 4 pass deflections in 36 career games, and has only started once in his college career, mostly been a reserve for Texas A&M on defense and contributing on special teams. So it does worry me to bring in a guy like that, and then you're suddenly going to rely on him potentially to be a starter and play big snaps for you.
At least he does have familiarity with Nick Williams from his time at Texas A&M there as well. And Texas A&M's defensive line has been extremely good and extremely deep these last few years. Yes, it is a little concerning that he hasn't been able to work into that rotation a ton. But again, that's a really, really talented unit those last couple of years under Mike Elko. We'll see. I'm, as you mentioned, wouldn't be thrilled if he's your starter, but you had to add some depth there with how many bodies you've been losing there this offseason. You had to add somebody.
Well, you need to add somebody else.
You need to add a few somebody else's.
Yeah, whoever's out there, who you want. But yeah, Florida State adding a handful of portal commits, new signees, and then we've got, like we said earlier, a expected big time visit from Rasheem Biles,
and we didn't even
linebacker from Pittsburgh.
We didn't even mention the Auburn left tackle Xavier Chaplain, who did make it to Tallahassee for his visit. I think that's still ongoing today. I don't think he's departed from town yet, but 1 season of eligibility remaining. Began his career at Virginia Tech, transferred to Auburn last offseason, started all 12 games at left tackle, 6'7", 348 pounds. So
Woo!
A ton of size here on this big man, and one of the top available offensive tackles in the portal. I think On3 has him as the number 4 offensive tackle on the market, a top 50 prospect overall. So this is certainly one that you would have to break the checkbook open for, I think. But considering your needs on the offensive line and the fact that you found a running back to bring in, you've settled on your quarterback that Florida State is likely going to be bringing in as QB1 for this season, who was actually Xavier Chaplin's teammate last season, obviously, in Ashton Daniels over there at Auburn. This would be a big one for Florida State, especially when I was mentioning, the 3 offensive line additions they have so far are solid, but I don't think that they necessarily moved the needle like we saw with the guys that they brought in the last transfer cycle. This would certainly bump up my feelings on this offensive line class if they can reel in Chaplain.
I don't know that it would make a difference for me. He had 12 penalties last year, and I don't know if you've seen this rumor that he has a hearing disability. So you basically have to go silent count even at home. I don't love that from my left tackle. I'm just going to be honest. I would prefer my tackles to be able to hear. just a preference.
Can he hear good enough though? I mean, you could still have some hearing.
I don't know, man. But
I don't know.
12 penalties. He didn't really grade that highly last year at Auburn.
Easy. I mean,
seemed to struggle. I don't know. I don't think he's the fourth best tackle on the market this year.
Dustin, we need you to get some better analysis for us on our next episode of like what kind of impact this could make, and what level of like loudness, like the decibel level that you play on NCAA, like how high you can go as a caliber before this gets affected type deal. So if you can do that for our next episode, that'd be great. Because VZ's worried about it. I mean, it's some there. I think he'll be fine. But
yeah, I mean, you did have some stuff back in October. This is from Alabama.com. Hearing difficulties discovered in Auburn tackle before Georgia matchup.
Uh-oh.
Hugh Freeze said that he has a hearing issue. So yeah, I'll need to dive some more into that. But either way, I mean, an extremely talented player, and you can't teach 6'7", 348.
No, I agree with that. He's got the size. Like you can't teach size, but you also can't teach how to hear. So
no, but you can work ways around it. I mean, he's obviously had a pretty productive career so far as far as starting at Virginia Tech and then going and starting all 12 games in the SEC. So some of these other programs, they found ways to mitigate the issue. And, I think if he was to end up at Florida State, they would have to figure out a way to do that as well. And I would imagine, during this visit, all things are under evaluation. The player who is coming in is evaluating the coaches and the fit and obviously the monetary offer that he's going to get from Florida State. And then Florida State is evaluating the player too. Can he fit into my scheme? Is he the right guy that we can coach? So they'll figure that stuff out if they're able to get him in the building.
I just don't think, even if you add him, I think you're still a 3-9 football team. So.
Well, you're not very high on Florida State regardless.
So. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm high on Florida State.
At the end of the day, VZ's just gonna, I was going to say, at the end of the day, VZ's just going to say, no matter who it is, it's still going to be a pretty rough. You're just fighting to make a bowl game type of scenario here. There's a lot that has to happen for VZ.
We didn't even make one this year. What do you mean fighting to make one next year?
I know. Just going back to the hearing thing, I'm looking at Doak is Doak. You're on the offense. It's not going to be too loud there unless you have opponent fans in the stands. But you got to watch out for Louisville. That could be a rowdy game. I'm sure that's going to be put on as a Friday night game.
What about Bama?
I'd say Bama.
That would have been the first one I'd bring up.
You play at Miami next year.
In Tuscaloosa.
Which I know, Miami's crowds are going to be Miami crowds, but. They're coming off at least a Final Four appearance.
So you're saying maybe 20% more of fans that are there that didn't go to school there will be in the stands?
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Okay. Down in the Hard Rock. Yeah. But yeah, Tuscaloosa might be a little rough. Go and get that game preview, get going there. VZ, note that for our guy on the offensive line. I need to watch out for the noise. All right, real quick though, I thought these were some pretty interesting notes from some former FSU guys. Luke Kromenhoek, he's heading down here to Tampa with me. He's going to USF. What's funny though?
They brought in another quarterback
from LSU just committed to USF.
He could have been a starter at Florida State this year, and he may be the backup at USF. Congrats, Luke.
That might be happening again after he transferred to Mississippi State. True freshman beats him out and gets the start. And it was a true freshman, right? Mississippi State, I don't want to get that wrong. Okay.
Well, their starting quarterback wasn't a true freshman, but he was competing for the backup job, and he lost the backup job to a true freshman.
Okay, gotcha. So, yeah, that's what happened there. Luke Kromenhoek goes Mississippi State, blah, blah, blah. Now he's going down here to Brian Hartline, and might be, going to have another competition there for a starting gig after, of course, Brown's going over to Auburn with his former head coach or his head coach. So, but yeah, he's going down to play for Brian Hartline, which, was one that I think some FSU fans are like eyeing. Ooh, Brian Hartline, could that be a potential candidate for you in 2027 if you move on? If you do move on from Mike Norvell, young coach, a lot of success putting guys in the league, primarily at the wide receiver position coach, but also as offensive coordinator for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And now he's down here at USF, and they're putting a lot of resources behind this football program. They're planning to build a new stadium and everything, and hoping to have some success after the success that they had this last season. But Derek Brooks also heavily involved there, I believe, as a COO down here for the Bulls. So a lot of movement happening in Tampa. But Luke Kromenhoek coming down here. Maybe I'll go see a couple games, guys. Maybe I'll go see Luke Kromenhoek again.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably be able to see him.
Mm-hmm. Up close. Sideline. How about Cam Davis? He's found a new home. These two guys are best friends, and Cam Davis is going to Liberty.
This one was wild because it came out that he was visiting Michigan State and Wisconsin, and all of a sudden, breaking, Cam Davis is committed to Liberty. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dropped a bag.
Okay.
Liberty's got bags. I got a bag. I wonder, too, if there's some injury stuff going on there with Davis. That was weird seeing him last year. He'd be fully dressed out and such, but really never got onto the field. And
yeah, but I mean, we don't complain about him not seeing the field. We complain enough about there being too many people on the field.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't think we needed another one in that rotation.
Yeah, you wanted to see strides made from him during the offseason, then the injury bug got him going into the season. So that's why we didn't see him to begin the year. You saw him a little bit more, honestly. I mean, yeah, we saw him on the field a little bit offensively, but on special teams near the end of the year, it was just, you wanted to see those steps being taken from him. It just did not happen in Tallahassee, which it was disappointing going through, his recruitment, sticking with Florida State and everything, and how that all ended up.
I just think he got passed up. Being plain and simple. You had the veterans that were already in the building. Sawchuk came in, and I mean, you already knew what he brought to the table immediately once he arrived from Oklahoma. And then Samuel Singleton Jr. I mean, he really made some promising developments over the last year. Chroma came in as a highly coveted piece, and just seems like Davis kind of got lost there in the shuffle. And like we had mentioned, I mean, making that transition from quarterback at the high school level to running back at the college level, there were some struggles there for Cam Davis and some real difficulties in making that change. So, hopefully he's able to figure things out there at Liberty. He's still going to be playing at the FBS level. Liberty's done some things over the last couple of years as far as competing for conference championships. So hopefully Cam Davis will get a chance to rebuild himself and, turn back into that player that he was coming out of high school. Cause he committed to Florida State very early on in his recruitment, stuck with that loyalty. And even though things didn't work out in Tallahassee, I feel like, he did all the right things and everything that he could on and off the field while he was at Florida State. So, I mean, definitely no ill will towards Cam Davis as he tries to get back on track.
No, definitely not. And I guess while we're speaking on this running back room, we should probably mention that they're hosting Treon Webb on a visit, the Florida running back who didn't play in 2025. I continue to not know what they're doing in this running back room.
What? Another running back? Oh, God. I thought Cam Martin was going to save us all. Just to ride with.
I mean, Webb hasn't played much. Like, he didn't play at all in 2025. Only played in 4 games in 2024. He did play a little bit in 2023. Yeah, but I don't see the reason that you need another one.
Yeah, you don't. You just don't need it, man. You don't need it. But you know what the factor is? If he does land with Florida State, you're going to see him. He's going to be in the running back rotation. It is a revolving door. It's like Alex Atkins' obsession of putting in multiple offensive linemen outside of your starting unit in games from drive to drive. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And once again, I think they're leading to another rotation between these running backs. I'm got major eyes on Samuel Singleton. I'm not telling him what to do or whatever, but man, you got too much upside and a lot of potential. Go find you a starting spot somewhere, man. This is just crazy. So get ready for that news to happen.
I will say I think they need depth at running back. I'm not sure if 4 bodies is necessarily enough just because of the physical nature of the running back position. And we've seen some guys, accumulate injuries at running back at Florida State over the last couple of years and miss some time. So, I mean, there might be some concern there where they're just trying to plan ahead where, hey, if Trey goes down or if Chroma or Samuel Singleton Jr. have to miss a couple of games for whatever reason, we've got this guy that we can plug in and play. But at the same time, I understand looking at it from the outside looking in. PTSD. You're like, you see him add another running back. You're like, oh man, here we go with this thing again. But got to hope that Cam Martin comes in and gets this thing right.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go on to another former player, another starter finding, and going to visit some new homes, let's go ahead and make some picks. Why don't we, guys? And let's do this on our friends over there with Sleeper. Shout out to Sleeper. If you guys use our code NOLES, Noles, down below, you get 100% match up to $100. VZ, you're on the top up there. That means that you're going to go ahead and make the first pick for us.
Oh, God.
On this one. Now, we already made some picks. This is going to be our second submission of the week going into this weekend of football. I mean, we could do college football. I mean, do you want to do the college football playoffs?
Could do NBA.
No, this is not an NBA show. No. Once we get Mavericks game, once we get the podcast going, we got it. Do we want to do college football or do we want to just stick with NFL? Make it quick, gentlemen.
I thought VZ had to make the decision.
I don't feel good about college football playoffs. I'm gonna be honest.
Josh Jacobs is shaved down to 59.5. Sign it up. 59.5.
No.
Tough. Ooh.
Ain't no way. There's no way.
Well, it's going to be a snow game, which means it's going to be a lot of running.
Yeah, but Green Bay has been like rolling with that other running back.
Well, it's because Jacobs hasn't been banged up. And
I think he still is. So.
They didn't play anybody in Week 18 against the Vikings.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, but even the week before that, he got out-touched by the other running back. Not sure if he left the game with an injury. Yeah, the other running back had more touches.
Chicago has the 27th worst rushing defense on NFLteamstats.com. So is this going to be there? I mean, what's the news say? We got a news tab on here. Shout out to Sleeper. Josh Jacobs says he feels the best he has in 6 weeks. This was 17 hours ago. Book it.
Less than.
Book it.
If he's saying that, he's not feeling good.
Absolutely. But we still book it because we're idiots. No, we're not. We're going to make some.
Oh, you're the one clicking, so I wouldn't have clicked that. Let me just put that out there.
What about a Puka anytime? What about a Puka anytime touchdown against the Panthers?
I like it.
Puka anytime touchdown.
No, Puka Nacua, not Egbuka. Come on, Puka Nacua.
Egbuka's not in the playoffs, so.
I know. Yeah, don't rub it in. Don't rub it in. But the Steelers are. That's what matters. Hold on.
Aaron Rodgers.
Nuts, by the way, that game was insane.
That game was nuts.
That game was boring for 55 minutes, and then the last 5 minutes were just bonkers.
Yeah, it was straight up Pittsburgh versus Baltimore for 3 quarters. Not that much excitement, a lot of defensive plays being made, yada, 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 and then out of nowhere, just craziness. Absolutely.
I also kind of like, before you scroll too far, I kind of like that Ramondre anytime touchdown against the Chargers. You just scrolled back up from it.
Well, we made some picks.
We took his rushing yards in the other show.
Okay. I guess we can add his touchdowns. It's 2 times more, which is pretty nice.
He's playing really well right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's his chart right here. 1, 2, 3. Do we book it for 4 touchdowns in this game? Could you imagine?
4 touchdowns.
Could you imagine it, though? Oh, they don't have it on here. Could you?
I wonder why.
Yeah, 16. That'd be like a times 16.
Be like a times 1,000.
Yeah. Let's just stay on the touchdowns then on this tab. We're not going to do this.
Can I take DK Metcalf anytime fighting a fan?
Ooh, Sleeper. Do you have that one offered? You have that one offered for us? I would take that. That's against Houston. No, I don't think their fans are that rowdy. It's not like the Lions or Bears or Eagles. If it was the Eagles, absolutely 100% book it. The only player for the Panthers is McMillan for them to score a touchdown, I would imagine, for this game. I don't see that one lasting too long.
I keep wanting to go to that game, but the weather keeps getting worse and worse. I'm like, I don't know.
Sit out there in that rain. What is it? Rainy and cold.
It's not even gonna be cold. It's gonna be rainy.
Yeah. Stephon Diggs has a lot of stuff going on off the field right now. Don't know how dialed he's going to be for this game.
He still delivered me a fantasy football championship, so I'll take it.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Now find us a pick. Now find us a lock.
I say we just rock with what we got.
The three.
We can get a less on there, though. An easy less.
Oh, we got a 15% boost. What is it?
So we could have went with a less than touchdown. There's got to be an easy one on there. Where was that? Who was that first one? Was that a Rondé Gadsden?
Where at? Rondé Gadsden.
Gadsden's been hoping this year.
The text is so small, man. I'm like trying to squint my eyes.
I kind of like the less on a Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown. I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh, you're gonna take off of his.
I was about to say, didn't he score last week?
Yeah, but I don't see it happening. I think that's gonna be a really low scoring game
this week. San Francisco, Tatum
Batalin's
out, man.
Oh. I think I might like less on one of their receivers.
Like on
either Smith or Brown, yeah.
I could ride with the Brown pick.
Their passing attack is
falling off again. It goes in strides. It hasn't been great all the year, but yeah, we can do.
I think the Eagles have 3 halves this season without a single passing yard or something like that. It was a crazy stat.
Okay. Dang it. Oh yeah, because we have a shave.
I'm down to shave off Jacobs.
No. Wait, how long is this? We get this for it's gone in one day.
God. Bye, Joshy.
Dang
Joshy,
it, Jacobs.
it's crazy.
Don't call him that ever again. All right, let's add our promo here. 15% boost. Bang, there's our picks right there from Sleeper for this upcoming weekend. Phenomenal slate of playoff games. Make sure you guys go use code NOLES, Noles. You guys can get 100% match up to $100. Shout out to Sleeper. And check out the description down below. All right, gentlemen, let's wrap this up real quick. Guess where Edwin Joseph's visiting, or where he already visited?
He's visited everywhere.
He's all over the board. He's got the Clemson Tigers, who he already visited after visiting the Texas Longhorns. He's got Auburn, Texas A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss. A lot of teams highly interested in him, and
which is crazy to say. I don't know why they're that high on him.
You think it's kind of over? You think Joseph's a little overrated? You're saying?
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, but going to Clemson is really interesting to me, as it's one of your ACC rivals.
And Clemson's actually been active in the portal this year. I think they've landed like 6 commitments, which is the most they've ever had. So
I think the admin has gotten on to Dabo.
Clemson just landed FSU legacy Jerome Carter, safety out of Old Dominion, who had an extremely productive season in 2025 and was someone who wanted to go to Florida State out of high school. I mean, visited campus multiple times alongside his father and family for some of those junior days and the summer camps. And, he was out there quite a lot, but never got the offer from the Seminoles, went on to Old Dominion, and then now has made his way back to the ACC, but it's going to be for the Clemson Tigers instead of the Florida State Seminoles, who didn't even reportedly really show interest here or try to get Carter on campus for a visit in this transfer cycle.
Well, VZ, is basketball going to get back in the win column? They face off against NC State this weekend, and we'll probably be live before it, but they'll also face off next against Syracuse. But they're going to get back into the win column here. What are we feeling?
NC State's a good team. They'll probably be missing Trey Holloman, one of their better players. He's averaging about 10 points per game. He's dealing with an ankle injury. Will Wade, their head coach, just came out and said he's dealing with an ankle injury and is doubtful to play. That'll help a little bit, but they still have Darren Williams. They still have Kadir Copeland. They've still got a lot of talent. It's going to be a tough game for Florida State to win. Yes, it'd be great to get back in the win column, but it's going to be a tough matchup. NC State's a really good team. Probably one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the ACC, and the ACC is a little bit better this year. But we'll see. Florida State's got to come up with the same effort that they played with against UNC and against Duke, and as long as they do that, they'll give themselves a good chance to win any game.
Mm-hmm. Is that game on ESPN on Saturday at noon?
Good question.
I always click on it in Google. Now I don't trust Google anymore because it's Google. But
ACC Network.
ACC Network. Okay, sweet. So that's at noon. Nothing better than the ACC Network. The same old ratchet ass commercials for 2 hours straight.
Noon basketball just doesn't feel right.
I hate noon games in football and basketball.
Yeah. Who do you got tonight, gentlemen? Real quick before we head on out of here. Ole Miss, Miami.
I really need Ole Miss to win, man. We can't have Miami. We can't sue the ACC to start getting checks for like making playoff games, and then Miami's the one that cashes it all in. We just can't do that.
No, we cannot have that happen.
Hate to say it, but I'm rolling with the Canes tonight.
I do think they win, but I really need Ole Miss to surprise me.
Dude, Ole Miss just has so much stuff going on off the field and all these distractions, but this team played dialed this last week, and that's very impressive to me. And I think their coach, there's some high optimism for him and what his career is going to be at Ole Miss. But Miami has been playing strong as of late, and they've put together some good game plans. And when you have a defense like that has completely flipped in play from last year to this year, pass rush. You hate to say it, and I know the Florida State fan base hates to say it, but they got a damn good pass rush, and that's something that you would crush to have in Tallahassee with that defense, man. You need something like that. You need guys in the trenches to go back there and make impact plays for you. Get back there, get to the quarterback, tackles for loss, like that defensive line gets after that ass, and that's something that you haven't seen from Florida State in a few years, since the years of Jared Verse and what you had bouncing off of that in tandem, like a Patrick Payton. Like that just hasn't been the case for Florida State in a long while.
That's why Miami won both of those playoff games, really. Yeah. I mean, it came down
they're relying on that line.
The defense, the defensive line, the defensive front, and Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. I mean, those two guys are absolute freaks, and you saw Texas A&M couldn't stop it. Ohio State was getting punched in the mouth. Going to be really interesting to see if that defense is keeping that same effort tonight against Ole Miss, because that will be the difference, in my opinion.
100%. Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. If you're still here with us on YouTube, got almost close to 200 of you guys. Smack that like button down below. We're trying to get to 50 likes on this episode. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us this morning. We'll be live, hopefully for you guys, early next week, maybe if any breaking news happens over the weekend. So also hit the subscribe button, hit the bell next to that too, because then it will notify you right here on the phone when we do go live for breaking news episodes, which we do regularly on here. But that's going to do it. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's week and have a great weekend. Enjoy the college football slate of games, along with 2 NFL playoffs, big time games. So y'all have a great one. We're out of here. Peace.